Chip Foose's popular show Overhaulin helped make him a household name. His skill at designing unique automobiles and the touching tales of gullible owners whose cars were altered were shown in every episode. Admirers admired his inventiveness, his cool-headed leadership, and the way he transformed corroded artifacts into moving works of art. But lately, a lot of people have questioned what's going on in his life and whether he is still creating. Come along as we investigate the fate of the renowned auto designer. Chip had one of the most difficult days of his life in late November 2018. Sam Foose, his father, mentor, and best friend, lost his battle with cancer. Chip announced the passing of his father, Sam Foose, on Instagram. He added in his post that he would miss Sam for the rest of his life and that he was not only his father but also his greatest friend and hero. He included pictures of them over the years. Sam was 83. He was more than simply Chip's father among auto enthusiasts. He was a well-respected builder who frequently appeared on Overhaulin and contributed to numerous projects for the program. Sam, who was born in 1934 in Southern California, had a deep affinity for automobiles. He stayed behind in Santa Barbara after his family moved to Arizona in 1948, servicing automobiles and sleeping in a friend's garage to make ends meet. He learned how to paint, weld, and manufacture there. His wife, Terry, would bring meals to the shop so he could eat with their children, Lindy, Chip, Jody, and Amy, as he worked crazy hours. He really entered the world of custom cars after the Korean War. From project designs, his shop, he created hundreds of unique products. A 1949 Ford Coupe, a 1956 Lincoln Continental MKI, the crazy Iacocca 200, and an outrageous version of a De Tomaso Pantera were among the most notable. His message was straightforward: accomplishing more with less is preferable to doing more with less. Sam's greatest gift, though, was teaching Chip, not the vehicles. Growing up in that shop, Chip absorbed lessons that resonated with him, such as Sam's caution that hippies' bell-bottoms don't last as long as trendy design. Sam covertly restored Chip's 1956 Ford F-100 and shocked him with the overhaul, demonstrating their friendship even on television. Chip's life was profoundly impacted by Sam's passing. But shortly after, further personal issues began to show up and put his home life to the test. Chip Foose and his wife, Lynn, ended their marriage in November 2019. Lynn filed for divorce in Orange County, California, following years of dating. It was a significant and unexpected change for Overhaulin followers who had witnessed Chip's family life interwoven with his business. After meeting in the 1980s, Chip and Lynn were married in 1990. This occurred immediately following Chip's graduation from Art Center College of Design. Their lives have always blended business and family. The two started Foose Design in 1998. While Lynn took care of the paperwork, contracts, and business minutiae that kept the shop operating, he threw himself into the artistic activity. While raising their two children, Brock and Katie, they worked together to make it a household name. However, the burden increased along with the company's growth. Chip was absent most of the time by the 2000s. Long workdays in the shop and frequent trips for vehicle exhibits and overhauls. Lynn handled the business side and took up the responsibilities at home. But eventually, their marriage began to suffer from their disparate positions. Lynn filed for divorce at the end of 2019. Chip submitted his response in early 2020, a few months later. What came next wasn't simple. The actual divorce took a long time. It wasn't clean or fast. The entire situation remained unresolved by 2022 because of the ongoing files regarding money, property, and custody. The business they had established together was also altered by the divorce. According to reports, Chip retained his own vehicles and equipment but turned up significant assets, such as the Foose Design Shop. After more than 20 years, Lynn left the company, ending both their marriage and their working relationship. In addition to his personal struggles, Chip had to fight to keep his creations and reputation safe from copycats. Chip made hallmark auto parts that are renowned for their distinctive, streamlined designs after opening his firm, Foose Design. People started copying his work since they were so well liked. Custom builds were no longer the focus. Instead, people were deceiving others by utilizing his name and reputation. Chip posted a warning on his Facebook page back in 2012. He accused Super Replicas of exploiting his name and even snipping movies to give the impression that he was collaborating with them, although this was untrue. Chip was unambiguous when he stated that Super Replicas and all of the names they use had nothing to do with him or Foose design. Fans believed the problem was resolved for a time. Chip was forced to republish the identical remark on his official blog site in 2016. There was still an issue. Super Replicas continued to assert that he was an endorser of their merchandise. Even pictures of his father, his co-workers, and most unsettling of all, his sister Amy, who died of progeria, a rare genetic disease that causes premature aging, were being misused. According to Chip, the corporation even claimed that funds from their vehicles were being used to support children who had life-threatening conditions. That was difficult for him and his family to hear. Additionally, he discussed an individual named Rither Sanchez who altered a video from a public gathering in Panama to give the impression that Chip had a business meeting with Super Replicas. The reality was easier. Sanchez had simply waited in line with the other supporters, whereas Chip had been in Panama on business of his sponsor, BASF Automotive Paints. Sanchez later altered the video to fabricate a tale. Chip issued a clear warning as a result. He advised his followers not to fall for the lies. There was no partnership, no hidden footage, and no secret contract. He reminded everyone that Foose design, website, or verified pages would always be the source of the only genuine updates. The problem demonstrated both the value of his reputation and its susceptibility to abuse. However, he decided to fight back by addressing his followers directly, in contrast to other builders who handled legal disputes in court. It was more about preserving confidence than it was about lawsuits. Considerably, if legal battles were exhausting, Chip would be considerably more devastated by the ensuing personal losses. Chip Foose suffered yet another devastating setback in August 2019. In the Alvord Desert of Oregon, his former co-host of Overhaulin, Jessie Combs, was killed in a collision while attempting to set a new women's land speed record. She was just 39. All her life, Jessie had been around automobiles. She was born in 1980, attended Wyatech to study fabrication and collision repair, and quickly gained recognition for her genuine talent. She then transitioned into television. On Spike, she co-hosted Extreme 4x4. Made an appearance on Mythbusters before joining All Girls Garage. Because she wasn't just talking but also developing and demonstrating her belonging in the shop, she was admired by others. She was one of 30 Wyatech students invited to assist Chip's group in rebuilding a 1967 Mustang in 2004, which was her first connection to Overhaulin. Jessie returned to the show as a full-time co-host in 2012. She starred in almost 50 episodes of the show until 2015. She created, welded, and got her hands dirty, which set the show apart from many hosts. She was driving a jet-powered vehicle at nearly 500 miles per hour on August 27, 2019, when the front wheel failed. She died in the crash. Guinness intervened to formalize it a year later. With a runtime of 522.783 miles per hour, she became the fastest woman on four wheels in history. The car industry was deeply affected by the loss. Fans, racers, and constructors all posted tributes. A memorial gallery and a documentary called The Fastest Woman on Earth, which documented her record attempts and the dangers she faced to achieve them, were unveiled by Discovery, the network that produced Overhaulin. It was personal to Chip. In the later years of Overhaulin, he had collaborated with Jessie. Chip posted pictures and a few comments about her online when she passed away. He described Jessie as a dynamic partner who gave her best to each build. It was made considerably more difficult by the date of her death. Because of their relationship on Overhaulin, Chip was already dealing with the agony of a divorce, so losing Jessie on top of that felt like an additional burden he wasn't prepared to handle. Overhaulin revolutionized automobile television when it debuted on TLC in 2004. Overhaulin combined beautiful structures with endearing pranks, in contrast to other shows that exclusively addressed the technical aspect. The concept was straightforward. Convince the owners that their vehicle was lost, then disclose that Chip Foose and his team had restored it covertly. Chip transformed corroded artifacts into masterpieces with co-hosts Adrian A.J. Janik and Chris Jacobs. The program aired until 2008 before returning from 2012 to 2015 on Velocity, which is now Motor Trend. Fans witnessed not just the builds but also the feelings of veterans and their families as their vehicles were given new life over the course of more than 100 episodes. After 11 years of airing intermittently, the show was discontinued in November 2015. The expenses had become excessive. Every build required a week of hard nights and non-stop work. Teams of fabricators and sponsors like Magnaflow provided assistance, but the workload was heavy. Additionally, there were rumors that some of the program was staged or that sponsors paid for certain segments, but these were quickly dispelled. Chip would have another chance to turn the show into a stable years later. After 4 years away, Overhaulin made a comeback in November 2019. The reboot. 12 episodes of the show's season were released on the Motor Trend app. For devoted viewers, the show seemed to have returned to its previous rhythm. Adrian Janik and Chris Jacobs were immediately next to Chip Foose, who was still in charge of the builds. In collaboration with the A-team of fabricators, they revived the original formula that made the series popular, tricking owners into believing their automobile was gone before showing a fantastic build weeks later. The crew's first project, a 2014 Corvette Stingray painted in 2 tones for a former heavy metal singer, was unveiled live at the SAMA show in Las Vegas to kick off the season. Social media was used to promote the announcement, which demonstrated how hard the team was working to engage supporters. The formula was the same for every episode. The prank, the emotional backdrop, the nomination, and the many hours spent disassembling and reassembling an automobile using Foose's distinctive design style. Although they had to pay taxes on the higher value, the owners were not billed for the work. The stories were supposed to be powerful. One segment focused on the challenger of a cancer survivor, and another on a Mustang owned by a Navy veteran. Shaquille O'Neal's arrival was one of the most talked about occasions. One of the largest builds of the season, his '64 Impala received the Foose treatment. However, not all of the comments were favorable, despite the enthusiasm. While many fans criticized the revival for relying too much on drama and rehashing pranks, others complimented the creativity and emotional revelations, saying that it left little time for real falsification details. However, not everything landed smoothly. Later, some customers complained about issues with their vehicles, ranging from overheating engines to parts that appeared to be selected more for sponsors than for their quality. Some viewers questioned the caliber of Chip and his team's rebuilds after reading such tales. The season ended in July 2020, and the show was silent once more. COVID also caused production to slow down, production costs to rise, and the show's format to become monotonous. However, the fact that fewer people were watching was the main problem. What was supposed to be a massive streaming comeback only lasted for 1 season. However, Foose's influence on the industry was already being acknowledged prior to the Overhaul relaunch and its broadcast on Motor Trend. Chip Foose won the inaugural Builder of the Decade award at the 2019 Grand National Roadster Show in Pomona, California. It was not surprising to many in the automotive industry. The granddaddy of them all, the Grand National Roadster Show, debuted in 1950. The America's Most Beautiful Roadster Trophy is its most well-known honor. The 70th annual event's organizers unveiled a new award that examined the previous 10 years of custom car construction. They decided on Foose. The choice was simple because of his record. He had already received the Riddler Award in Detroit and other AMBR awards. A large portion of hot rodding in the 2000s was influenced by his TV show, his design work, and the projects from his Huntington Beach business. In celebration, the event brought together 12 of his most well-known vehicles, including Impression and Grandmaster, in the biggest showcase of Foose constructions to date. Foose thanked his family and crew as he won the prize on January 27, 2019. Many agreed with his idea to discover the decade, but some argued over who should receive the credit. He has been trying to carry on the tradition for his kid, and he is still the only builder of the decade. Chip is now doing the same for his own son, Brock, as Sam used to do for him. Chip is now receiving the same instruction that he first learned in his father's workshop. The tasks they work on together best demonstrate their bond. Appeared on Overhaulin in 2019 and adorned a bespoke build with leather accents. Although it wasn't much, it demonstrated how at ease he was becoming in the store. By 2023, such assurance had developed into complete cooperation. Chip and Brock worked on Brock's Mustang's exhaust system for days. Chip transformed it into a classroom centered on patience and problem solving, guiding every step from cutting and welding to alignment checks. Shown how much he valued teaching his son by later describing that experience as being superior to a beach day. Brock currently guides spectators through creations such as Chip's personal C10, a 1955 Dodge, and a 1956 Bel Air during recent shop visits. His ability to easily explain technical aspects and point out design decisions is evidence of how much he has learned under Chip's careful supervision. Chip frequently observes that Brock infuses the shop with new vitality while upholding the classic design ideas that Sam once taught. 3 generations are united in a single moment when they deliver accolades together, such as the Sam Foose Memorial Design Award. Chip sees mentoring Brock as more than just imparting knowledge. It has to do with upholding a philosophy. Craftsmanship is crucial, and good design never goes out of style. Through these partnerships, Chip is demonstrating to his son how to continue the Fu family's tradition into the future in addition to teaching him how to construct automobiles. Chip no longer chases TV deadlines. His current focus is on working on automobiles within the business, which is where it all began. The floor of Fu's design in Huntington Beach is crowded with ongoing projects. He has been working on a 1956 Lincoln Continental with a new blueprint engine, a 1962 Corvette that recently underwent paint, and a 1949 Cadillac that is undergoing a complete restoration in 2025. Additionally, a '33 Ford sedan is being developed. His son Brock, who has been disclosing more behind-the-scenes information, frequently provides fans with updates. Chip still finds time to make public appearances. Chip was out at SEMA 2025 working on a modified F-150 with real truck. He demonstrated his skills by spending time on the ground. He took a plane to Toronto for the Motorama Expo a little earlier. He sat there with fans, answering them questions and drawing vehicles. It was the same for anyone who grew up guarding Holland. Chip continued to create and draw, not much had changed. The role of mentoring has grown throughout his life. Chip participates in the Young Guns program run by SEMA, which allows young builders to compete and gain knowledge from veterans. He also became a member of the RPM Apprentice program in 2025, which allows students to gain first-hand experience in restoration work. After spending time with him, builders frequently remark that he never rushes them. He has continued his charitable endeavors. He worked on a Ford F-150 Chip that was on show at the Barrett-Jackson auction in January 2025. In honor of his sister, the proceeds from its sale, which brought in around $150,000, were donated to the Progeria Research Foundation. Chip has been using his skills in this manner for years. Later that year, he worked on another project with SEMA Cares, a large Ford F-350, which ultimately raised $200,000 for children. Transforming buildings into fundraisers for causes close to his heart. Chip is 61 years old and unconstrained by TV scheduling. He's working with the next generation, traveling for events, and working in the shop. Though he doesn't appear to be in a rush, fans continue to speculate about Overhaulin's potential return. He seemed to be more interested in teaching, stable employment, and family time.